Hey, welcome everybody. So our class today is on vagal hacking, which is an interesting thing, and of course comes from the trauma-informed teachings that we've been doing for the last 10 years. And before, the how we've evolved in the Yoga Fit for Warriors program is we've gone from understanding polyvagal theory, which took up like the first few years, to now where we're intentionally, with almost like a precision sort of surgeon approach, if I can use that analogy, probably not the best, but how then, if we know the vagus nerve is where these patterns are set in the nervous system, and yeah, we were focusing on the patterns in the body, right? The mobilization for fight, flight, freeze, defense. We feel those yoga is great for exploring those or revealing those. But what do we do when we find, because really what's organizing that is the electricity through the body, what animates us. And what precedes the movement is actually an energetic experience that could be of fear or anxiety, all the things we've experienced the last couple of years. And I guess we're going to continue, thank you, Putin, to get experience for a while. What do we do when we notice that nervous system energy? Well, we have some practices. Some of them are the ones we're familiar with yoga, breathing, right? Ujjai Breath. And that's what we'll start with today. The number one vagal hacking is something we do all the time, Ujjai Breath. So let's find the front of our mat, and then I'll start to build in a couple of other things. So it's going to be a little bit non-traditional. If you're watching at home, I know I'm in the shadows here. It's okay. Hopefully you can still see. I'll turn on the lights just a little bit more here. So let's find our feet. Let's find that sense of grounding through the body. Finding any kind of awareness of rocking. So if we can, just start to gently shift. So when our nervous system gets dysregulated, and we have that feeling of not being organized or in sync, then it actually affects our ability to organize energetically the vestibular. Come on in, you're fine. So rocking, part of the vestibular proprioceptive activity. So as we rock forward and back, finding any kind of different feelings. So instead of you moving forward, actually from the floor. So imagine your feet kind of glued into the mat here. Feel the shift when you go forward. Can you feel your quads engage a little bit? And then when you go back, your hamstrings trying to catch you. And that's supposed to happen. We're supposed to feel that. We want that. The problem is we lose that sensation in our legs when we're in that state, that upward alarm and orienting state up here. Everything goes up here. We actually need to feel that. So a little bit less up here. If we can, maybe bounce a little bit, get out of the shoulders, the neck, the face. And then now we're going to rock side to side. So again, this is vestibular activity. Right? Our vestibular system helps us to know if we are falling on purpose or not. Right? Where are you in relation to the ground? Actually, where is your brain, which keeps you alive in relation to the ground? Yeah. So vestibular proprioceptive. So when you're stressed, that whole thing gets pulled. The plug gets pulled, and literally you could faint. That's a vasovagal response. Yeah. So this is one of the vagal hacks right here, is just rocking without it from up here, like your feet are buried in sand. Heavy. Feel the differential pressure change. Now we're going to go in a circle, really slow, heavy. So it's a weird thing. Imagine your feet are super glued to the mat. So again, you're being pulled. Something is propelling you, and it doesn't matter which way. And if we got one way, let's just slowly go the other direction, nice and slow. Awesome. And then now watch. Say, okay, let's find center. Bam. The body knows center and stillness. So we move in and out of balance, some of the things that we do. And then let's just find our feet again, intentionally, maybe fanning our toes. There's a big vagal line actually through the big toe. Some of the things we do all the time in yoga, we may not realize, help us to reestablish almost like a guide wire, a tether hook of energy, thinking about that nice big lead core in the middle of the earth, the iron ore there, grounding us magnetic. And then knees bent. So going into our little bit of our spa stuff here, right? Knees bent, relax, shoulders bent, relax. And let's just take a few energetic breaths. Inhaling, finding our arms lifting, and exhaling nice and slow. Maybe just a little chair flow here. Just starting to link our breath to our movement. And of course, we go slower in our trauma-informed practices. It's not to torture us. It's to surrender, Ishvara Pranidhana, to the breath. It's to train us that the brain and the body, if it starts to move in advance of the breath, it's always going to be moving from an old pattern. Those are old steps we've taken. The new steps is through the breath, which moves like water on the planet in any which way it wants to go. It knows an easier way. It knows the fastest way, the smoothest way. And so as we slow our movements down and allow the breath to take over for us, willingly surrendering to it, we notice the hips, the shoulders, the neck stays relaxed. Maybe that's an unusual feeling. We're used to like, oh, if I'm moving, I should be feeling that tension in my neck and my shoulders, but that's actually quite unnatural. Awesome. And then let's just pause, finding our mountain pose. Now we're going to go right into the first vagal hack, which is an arm movement, which is really interesting. So I'm going to cue your left arm. So we're going to take our left arm straight out in front and then bring it like you're shaking someone's hand, pull it back. And then I want you to just twist to the left. And just notice, find a marker on the wall, you at home too, how far do you twist? Okay. And this is going to show us how our arms and legs integrate this movement pattern of defense. Now we're going to come back. That was the test. Now let's do the actual practice. So as we come in, we're going to do this. We're going to draw the arm in. We're going to go do the same thing. Head and eyes look back, but now turn your head and eyes to the right shoulder. Keep the arm back. So head and eyes, yep. Keep drawing that left arm bone strongly back into the spine. And we have to hold this for about 15 seconds or so. The reason was because the arms and legs grew out of the spine, right? That reptilian part of our body. So let's see if we can find that sensation, maintain it here through the arms and the legs. Again, staying connected here through the spine. And then slowly release, coming back through center, again, letting it go. And then one more time, we're going to come up this time as we bring that left arm back. The final thing is the head's going to stay back, but here's the weird thing. The eyeballs are going to go as far to the right as you can. So looking to your peripheral vision. So the head stays turned towards the hand, the thumb. The eyeballs skew strongly to the right. And it's weird. And this is where we're forcing a hard reset in the vagus system because it's tied to our movement patterns in space, right? So the vagal nerve, our parasympathetic, again, our eyeballs only, our head stays back. The eyes are far, far, far to our peripheral vision on the right. And it's weird if you feel a little discombobulated, that's normal. Okay, now that's been about enough time. Head and eyes go back and we bring this arm back and let it go. Now we take the test. So after we take the test, I'll show you what I mean before we go to the other side about the arms and legs posturing us for defense. And it forces this. We're forcing it to reset. And you'll see this and hopefully in now your new range of motion. So now let's go to the test. We bring that left arm up and now see how far can you twist? Oh, farther. Yes. Yes. Did you go farther than you started? The answer is yes, right? Noticeably. Cool. Now, what did we didn't stretch it out. What we did is we reset. So that nervous system through the spine, the arms and legs, remember, grew out of the spine, out of our kidneys. So when we're stressed, we do this. And those patterns are with us when we wake up. We force that hard reset because the eyes. All right, and I'll talk more about that on the next round. So let's do this other test, right? I told you a different class. We will do some more traditional yoga stuff in a minute. We just got to shock and awe right off the bat here. Okay, so right arm, you're like, okay, Shaye, whatever. We're going to take that test. Again, noticing different side is going to have a different feeling. So that right arm reaches back. And then let's come back. So again, you got that marker on the wall. Just let it go. Okay, so remember this time the head and eyes both go together to the left. So we bring it in, the arm goes back and the head and the eyes go the opposite way. Now the trick is, sometimes our gaze goes away from that arm and we lose feeling. I want you to stay connected. So keep pulling that right arm bone strongly back in. Your head and your eyes are the opposite way of your hem. Again, staying relaxed to the back of the neck. Keep trying to draw that shoulder blade strongly back into the spine. We're forcing a resetting of the arms into the spine, but a remembering of a different pattern, right? We're stopping that old pattern. Okay, head and eyeballs go back. Whew, let it go. That's kind of challenging to hold the arm with that one, isn't it? Okay, one more time, bringing the arm in. And again, reaching back. Now this time, the weird one, the head stays back, and this is strange. The eyeballs go the other way. Notice, does your head want to move with your eyes? Yes, it does. We have to really consciously not allow it. And that's the key here. When people are hypervigilant, when animals are tracking prey, in other words, on the savannah, say a lion, the head and eyes go with the prey. They move together. The first thing I look for people with stress is hypervigilance, and the eyes, head and eyeballs, they kind of look locked in place. Okay, that's far enough. Let's release. Let it go. See what we got on this side. Okay, final test. Let's see how far we went, maybe. Yeah, farther. Yeah, cool, right? I think it's pretty cool, pretty wild stuff. All right, now let's go ahead and open up our feet. Let's just move our hips here a little bit. And then we're going to add in just a little bit of a nice little energy exercise. So into our moonflower, sunflower, same thing. Back to now that we've sort of messed with our vestibular system, all of those systems, vestibular, proprioceptive, even interoceptive systems through the vagus nerve, because the vagus nerve, right, goes into the belly. This is all the stuff from Warriors. So I'm assuming a lot of knowledge here, I know. Well, now we need to reclaim a new kind of equilibrium, find a new rhythm. Notice the arms. Do they feel more connected into the spine here? Again, as we exhale, we find that hip heavy feeling. As we inhale, lightness. And just slowing it down, maybe adding in now our breath practice if you want. Ujjai Breath, right? That's our warrior's breath at home. Or maybe a 4-count inhale, pause at the top. And a nice slow 4-count exhale, pause at the bottom. So finding our box breathing. And it doesn't have to be any kind of perfect number. Just noticing now there's 4 parts to the breath. And of course, breath pranayama practices are the main way that we're going to help to reset our nervous system and then our entire physiology. Yeah, through the spine, right? Through the spinal column where the central nervous system is. And then that controls the arms and the legs. And instead of moving like puppets at the whim of our nervous system from sympathetic, we've reclaimed some real control. Beautiful. And then release, fantastic. Okay, now we're gonna actually come to the ground. So you can come to the front of your mat, moving just very gently. Let's just do some gentle, slow sun salutations with some lunges, getting into the psoas line, right? Just a little bit. So inhaling, extend and numb. Exhaling, hip hinge, swan dive, forward fold. And let's just go ahead and step our left leg back and then our right, knees to the mat. Just a gentle extended child's pose here for a moment. Inhale, shifting forward into our kneeling plank. So as we shift forward, we're going to find the nice, soft lengthening through the heart and the base of the throat. Slow and controlled, hydraulic fluid feeling, right? Hydraulic pump feeling all the way down. You and gravity are different now. Top of the feet to the mat. Inhaling long to the spine, shoulder blades gently draw down the back and head. Check it. Can it move like a turtle? When we've reclaimed that posture in the nervous system of ease, you can look in all directions, not just out of fear, locked towards prey or locked towards the thing we're trying to stay away from, right? And then forehead softly back to the ground. Tuck the toes a little bit. Draw the knees and scoop the belly. Inhale, slow and controlled, back up to kneeling plank and extended child's pose. When we get there, maybe fan our fingers, lifting our fingers, keeping our palms onto the mat and place each finger down with lots of awareness. Maybe kind of wrapping the armpits in and maybe doing something a little different here, pushing the mat away, scooping the belly, a little cat feeling through the spine as we maybe kind of coil the body inward like a caterpillar, very gentle. And then we're going to find that reverse feeling, loop the elbows in, try to pull the mat back, draw the chest through, right? You can feel that rib cage drawing back, tailbone turns up, a little baby cow. And exhale back to cat, maybe a little higher, just a little bit. Fan the hands, the webbing of the hands. Softening through the back of the neck, the forehead soft, cheekbone heavy, scoop the belly a little bit. And then again, a little baby cow, not the full expression yet. Keeping the elbows bent, relax through the sides of the neck, again, softly through the front of the throat. And then finally, now we're going to come into our full cat posture, probably walking the knees in. Let's find the shin bones pressing down, staying lifted through the middle of the spine, but then the ends of the spine nice and relaxed. So the forehead, the top of the head, really relaxed. Gently drawing our tailbone in. It should just feel good. Maybe tucking our toes, shifting the hips back just a little bit, creating a shelf with our arms, drawing the arm bones in as we bend the elbows, and then pull the mat back as we draw the front of the body forward, finding our cow pose. And then now let's go with the breath again, just like we did before. Exhaling, Ujjai Breath, slow and controlled. I'm going to encourage you to go ahead and see if you can let the breath or the spine move you. Instead of you moving the spine, the limbs moving the spine, can you surrender to the intelligent, fluid, emotional movement of the spine? When it can move in this fluid way, the limbs just follow along. We've put the horse in front of the cart again. The cart comes in front of us when we're stressed, and our limbs drive us. Old habits and patterns. What do we call that? Samskaras. Beautiful. And then release. We're going to bring our right knee forward, right foot forward, I should say. Also, our knee is going to go with it. And let's just find a gentle rocking action here through the hips. Morning time, or if you're at home, it's later in the day, maybe not, but right here, it's morning time. So just kind of warming the hips up. And again, finding that rocking action, which is so soothing and calming to our nervous system. And as the right foot comes forward, nice and heavy, opening up. And as we shift the right hip back, we're going to breathe that right leg long. And then option to add on here as we come forward, let's root down. The right hand is going to root down to the right thigh. Our left hand is going to reaching back. I would say, imagine you're grabbing a big old heavy fisherman's net, and we're going to cast that net forward with this left arm. Pinky side of the hand rotates back, lifting up, finding that psoas line through the left side of the body. Exhaling, nice and fluid, a little bit of a relaxed spine here. Just let the belly collapse, reaching back, find that fisherman's net. Inhaling, casting it, maybe finding a little bit more lateral flexion. Exhaling, again, finding our breath. Notice how that changes everything when we surrender to the movement of the breath. Remember, it knows an easier way. Beautiful. And one last time, just pausing here, maybe shifting that left hip forward and finding a little twist. We can bring the elbow across, of course, or just for our hand to the floor or to a block if you have it. But using the breath to twist. So inhaling, long spine. Exhaling, gently feel that right shoulder blade draw down and that gentle twisting. And slowly unwinding back through center. Now, option to go back into that extended child's pose if you want, or we're going to go into downward dog. Always a choice. So you go back to what we did before. Some days we feel like down dog, some days we don't. But we're going to do that same thing. We're going to bend the knees. You can do the same thing from the knees if you want, but we're going to bend the knees here. Let's do a little bit like a little baby cat pose here, where we kind of pull the ends of the spine. Again, feel that feeling of a caterpillar kind of drawing in. And then extending the legs, a little bit of that cow, just a little bit as the elbows kind of bend a little bit, jaw the chest through. Exhaling, a little bit of that cat, really energize through the legs here. So the knees are bent a lot. We press to the pinky sides of the toes. We scoop the belly, press the sacrum up a little bit. Should feel good. Now coming into our downward dog, just regular, we'll just pedal it out. Again, putting also the spine first, finding fluidity through the spine changes how the arms and legs move. We stay connected to that deep belly, heart breath, right? Staying out of those patterns in the nervous system. All right, so we got to go to the other side. So right knee comes down. Let's bring our left foot forward. Again, we'll just go right into a gentle rocking lunge, nice and smooth. Feeling, again, the shift, heavy as we come forward to that left foot, and then the shift of heaviness through the hips as we go back. And that's what we want to start to pay attention to, our gravitational connection to the earth. And when it gets disrupted, disconnected, that plug being pulled, we got to go back to that heavier feeling through the feet and the legs. Grounding, right? One of the key themes of our trauma-informed classes. Left foot heavy. Remember the options. We can do what we did before. Left hand roots down, femur bone feeling. Make sure knee is over ankle, of course, and then we reach back with that right hand, finding that psoas line as we inhale through the right side. So from the inner thigh up through the hip, through the right rib cage, neck stays relaxed. And now with the breath. And if we want, exhaling, Ujjai Breath. Inhaling, casting that net upwards, neck stays relaxed. Just a couple of more times. Again, going at your pace. Beautiful. And releasing into any kind of twist here. Again, more of a gentle twist today through the spine. As we breathe, the spine long on the inhale. Maybe just feel the spine gently ring out on the exhale without forcing it through the arms. Just really using the breath here. Beautiful. And then release. Now we're going to come right to see this. So again, a different kind of class here today. So thanks for going along. You can sit crisscross applesauce if you have a block at home or here and you want to sit on it, go for it. We're going to do a couple of the Vagal hacks now. And you're a little warmed up. Again, feel free also, you guys here in the room, you have chairs. You can also do this seated in a chair. We are going to come to a little slightly different. And again, if it bothers knees or ankles, yep, crisscross applesauce is the way to go. Absolutely. I'll see how long my ankles and knees are like this. So we're going to actually take our hands and let's open, close our hands really fast, really fast, really fast. Beautiful. Roll the wrists around, do a little bit of our joint dance. Proprioception predominantly is in our joints. That's our awareness of our body's movement right in space here. And then elbows. I know they're hinge joints. They really don't move in a circle. And then shoulders. Awesome. All right. So now let's take our hands really wide, claw-like to the back of the head. Now, just really gently find a gentle range of motion. So we're going to come in and we're going to close as if we're duck and cover, right? Which is a posture of protection, but not from fear. We're just coming inward. I always think of like kind of a bird going to sleep, you know, in the winter, like tucking in, thinking about opening across the upper back. Now, inhale, start to lift and open, but from the upper back. Don't let the elbows pull us back. It's the upper back opening. The elbows just follow along, right? Reintegrating the arms back into the spine. Get a little traction through the back of the head as we gently pull the occipital ridge. And then exhale, nice and slow, rounding gently, maybe a little bit of a cap, but really think about trying to pull your shoulders really strongly to one another. And then inhaling, finding that opposite posture, that beautiful lift through the belly, through the heart. It should feel really, really good. And then we're just going to release. Let's find lateral flexion. So the left hand down, the right arm reaches just to get a release here. Maybe drop one hip, coming over to the other side. Again, nice and relax the other arm. Nice big breath. Fantastic. All right. So now remember what we did with our eyes before. We're going to kind of do that here. So we're going to let our chin turn towards the left shoulder. And so just watch me first, but the eyes are going to go strongly up and to the right. So looking down to our shoulder, our left shoulder, keep the head down, but the eyeballs are going to go as far as we can up to the right, to the corner of the room or up to the ceiling. And again, notice the pull of the head. Does it want to follow where the eyes are looking? It does. And when I work with people, and we're still holding it, when I work with people, I kind of do this little test with them. I'll say to do this, and I don't tell them anything about it. If you have a lot of trauma and stress, the head and the eyes will go together. They can't separate those actions. So just kind of keeping that in mind when we think about the eyes. Okay, now let's reset. Eyes go back to the shoulder, and we're going to slowly come back through center and let it reset. We may feel a little kind of, wobbly, warbly, because we've just really messed with that gyroscope in the brain. Okay, we're just going to go to the other side. So again, turning towards the other shoulder, so towards our right shoulder, and same thing, eyeballs up strongly and to the left. So this is one of the ways it's a hard reset to our nervous system. The eyes are strongly wired to look for signs of danger in our environment. Of course they are. That's why the occipital lobe in the back of the head is well protected in the back of the head where we process vision. So we're actually really messing with that wiring in the brain front to back, resetting that pattern, allowing the brain to release those patterns and getting more into that limbic part of our brain right now. So all the stuff we can't see happening, you got to trust happening. So I'm explaining it to you. Eyeballs go back, and then hopefully you'll experience that as a different reset here. So let's reset back through center here for just a second. Pause. Taking a nice big breath, maybe bringing one hand to our belly, one hand to our heart. A little bit of a gentle feeling of a container. Feel the body. Again, another trauma-informed thing that yoga just does, but we do it with more intention here, is the container of us. We are not what's in our head. Yoga says that. It's here in the body. There's intelligence. So as we exhale, maybe gently, like a gentle pressure, pushing the belly, the chest, just gently. And then inhale, breathing the belly, the chest lifted, expanding through the spine. Exhaling. Really let the breath drop deep into the belly. Feel the heart. It feels so good to come inward like this. And again, inhaling nice and soft. Beautiful. And release. All right, so now we're going to swing our legs mermaid-like over to the left. And I'm trying to cue opposite you. So if I mess it up, just go one way, we'll go the other. So this is kind of a weird thing. We're going to go ahead and take our right. We're going to take let's do a test here. This is another test thing. And feel free to adjust your legs. However, I know this is kind of, can be a little difficult. Feel free to use a block. So we're going to twist over to the right. Just notice how far we can twist. Nice. Just again, eyeball it. Okay, now we come back through center. Now, this is the weird thing, and feel free to do what you need to for your leg. You're going to actually take your left hand to the outer left thigh, and you're going to try to lift and push against it, keeping the foot to the ground. And so we're getting into, again, now our hips, the same thing with our arms. That mobilization for defense happens to our hips very strongly. Even if you don't lift your leg up, if you're down here, just get it energetically. Imagine you're really pushing. So we want to get as high as we can and push, 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 push. Push, 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 and then release, just release it. And we're going to press this left hip forward. So now we're rotating through the hips just a little bit. Just notice the difference. And again, one more time, let's just come back. We'll just do this side one more time. You could do it 3 times at home. We don't have time today. So if you want to, just really press, 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 flex the foot that's still on the floor, right? Really resist against it. Again, if it hurts your knee, I'm going to ask you not to do it. There's other exercises we can do that are more important. And then again, that range of motion in the hip forward. So maybe we got a little bit more, and maybe notice that you get a little bit easier twist, or that feeling of openness through the spine. Maybe not, it's okay. Now we're going to stay right here on this side, one thing, and then we'll switch to the other side. So now we're going to do cat cow here. Same thing, which is weird. And if you want to, you could do crisscross applesauce instead if it's easier. Finding a better posture for you in the audience and the home audience. So we're going to do this little cat cow. So we round the spine here, and you could come on your fingertips. You can use blocks as well. Then here's the weird thing. Let's just notice your range of motion. Now open up and just notice where your eyeballs go up to the ceiling. Just natural. Okay, no forcing it. Now exhale. This is the weird part. We go to cat. The head stays down. I want you to roll your eyeballs up to the ceiling. Yeah, really weird. So the eyeballs are trying to turn up, like you're looking at the top of your head or up to the ceiling, but your head stays down in cat. And again, same idea, just noticing. Okay, so that was weird, but it's about to get weirder. We're going to inhale, open up to cow. Same idea. Now eyeballs have to go straight down, like you're looking down the bridge of your nose or to the floor, but we're still opening like cow pose, right? So the top of the head is reaching, but our eyeballs are looking down. This really messes with my vestibular system. I can feel it almost in my gut. So if you're feeling a little nauseous or unease, do a little less of it. Maybe not look as far down as you want or as you can, but breathe through it. Okay, then reset. Let's reset here, and let's just do the test again. So again, maybe cat pose, probably not a big difference, but inhale, maybe cow pose, and just notice, is there an easier feeling through the body, or even more range of motion? Maybe not. We'll see. You could do that in a lot of poses, by the way. You could add that in. Cat cow, right? You could do cat cow and do that same eyeball motion. You actually get a bigger range of motion. All right, we're swinging the legs around. We're going to the other side, and every side's different. All right. So finding that same, let's just on this side, notice the range of motion for the hip. We didn't do it on the other side, but let's see what the test is. So we press that right hip forward and back. Just notice if there's not any. You're like, okay, my hips aren't moving. All right, cool. That's an experience. Yeah. So we'll start there. We're only going to go up from there. So now we place the right hand to the outer thigh, and we try to, if it either just resist, even just try to push it, and the knee doesn't lift up. Don't you love AirPods? I don't. Okay. Or you actually can lift it up if it's okay with your knee, but either way, we want to get that resistance and really go for it. It's got to come from the hip. You're like really trying to reset it back into your femur bone, back into your pelvis here. Cool. You're like, okay, Shaye, we're going with you. All right. Now let's come and find that range of motion again, very gently. See how far we can twist again, without forcing it. We come back through center one more time. Remember, at home, you could do this like 3 times. So really press your lifting, you're pressing against it. Resist, resist, resist. Oh, awesome. And finally, again, we rotate. Notice, is there a bigger range of motion through your right hip? And can you twist a little bit more? Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. Nice. And release. All right. Oh, no, we got to do our cat cow. So that doesn't feel quite even. So same thing. Let's just see what our range of motion is here. Now we've already reset it. So probably won't take a lot. Maybe not a big, we already feel pretty good here, but let's round into cat. Again, eyeballs now go up, head stays down. Continue to find your breath. And then slowly release, opening up into our little seated cow pose here. Head goes up, but now eyeballs straight down to the floor. And again, just notice any kind of what we would call coupled movement. That's a coupled response where the eyeballs are coupled with the head's movement. Now, when we're in a state of stress, that's helpful because you want to stay on target. It's helpful to track your prey, or if someone's approaching you or anything of fear. It is, if you get distracted for even a second, that could be harmful, right? So that's adaptive when we're stressed, but not so much when we want to look for creative solutions, novel, new paths to take in our life. You know, we miss those when we're stuck in those old fear responses. Okay, that's enough of that. Now let's find just regular cat cow. Again, just kind of noticing that range of motion. Awesome. And then right here, back to seated. And before we come onto our back, so you can come to seated any way we want. I know that clock isn't right, so I don't know how much time I have left here. Let me just check it. So get yourself comfortable. I'm going to check the time. I think I'm going to check the time. Time is, oh, perfect. Okay, we got time. All right, so we're going to find a different feeling now through the arms before we come onto our back. So same thing. Let's just see how far we can twist naturally. So let's just go to the left. Just kind of notice how far we can twist that arm. I'm going to come to seated and do that a little bit differently. You don't have to. You can sit crisscross too. Okay, and then now to the other side, to the left or to the right. All right, so now fantastic. Now let's take our right hand to our left shoulder. And this is what I want you to think about this idea. We're going back to the upper arm. So this is where a lot of heat rises. A lot of our stuff goes up here. We got to reset that pattern. So we're going to press. I want you to really push into it, just like we did with the leg. Really push into it. Push, push, push. Try to press the inner part of this left shoulder in and resist it with the hand best you can. Right. So like you're putting your shoulder into it, like, really mean it. Really mean it here. Awesome. And then slowly release. And then notice as we twist, don't even do anything more. Can you, twist a little bit easier? And let's do that again. One more time. Again, we'll just do it twice at home. You could do it like 3 times, right? Usually it's like kind of 3 times here. And so pull it in, pull it in, pull it in. Again, push. You're really resisting it. You're giving it some oomph. And then again, release and twist. Noticing. Fantastic. And let's go to the other side. So the left hand to the right shoulder. Again, we're going to start by kind of pushing it in. So pushing our fingers in and pulling it, pull, 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 pull. Or I should say push, push, push. Not pull. And then again, twist and open. Shoulder stays relaxed. And then one more time. Again, it should just feel really good here. So sometimes you got to go into the pattern. Instead of trying to release it, but like if you're in a closed-hearted posture, which this is, and it's like, oh, let's just go lay over a bolster. That usually doesn't work. The body will still fight that pattern. It wants to complete this action, and we're forcing that completion of a stuck pattern. It's weird. The way out is through. You want to go into that pattern more, just like you squeeze something, it releases more, and that's what we're doing. We're releasing it now. Does that make sense? Yeah? You really go into it. And let's do that finally here. Let's do a big hug, left hand to right shoulder, right hand to right rib cage, and just squeeze it and adding that in and really try to hug the hips in a little bit, squeeze everything in. If you're in my posture, if you're crisscross, don't do that. But that self-hugging action. Now inhale, softly opening, maybe lifting the chest. Hands stay relaxed, everything easy. Exhaling, self-hugging, which actually is a vagal hack. Other hand to other shoulder and to the rib cage. Because why is it? Well, we know that this posture of self-hugging here, just like this, actually increases heart rate variability. Heart rate variability is a sign of how toned your vagus system is, right? It's our biomarker for how healthy our nervous system is, how resilient it is. And now let's just move with the breath. Inhaling and exhaling, just gentle and easy, moving with the breath. Again, we want to find a new feeling of rhythm here. Being a little bit more in sync, in tune. This vagal tune-up that we're doing. And then now we're just going to go ahead and come onto our back. So swinging our legs around, yay, super easy, right? Now the basic exercise, let me show you here before you come to your back. You're going to come and the basic exercise, and you can do this one arm at a time if it's too uncomfortable, but you're going to lay on your back with the back of the head or the hands to the back of the head. And again, you can do this one arm and it's fine. We're going to do that same thing with the eyes. So now we're set in what we call constructive rest posture, back flat, knees bent, head here. And then when we get here, you're actually going to let your eyes go strongly to the right and then the left, and I'll cue it. But the head doesn't move, right? Just the eyes. So that's a good way to start class. If you start on your back in your classes, hey, one of the things that we do is affect our nervous system. You want to do it more precision, like start your classes with this vagal hack. It changes the entire nervous system before we practice. All right, so at home, we're laying on our backs. Again, if you can, lift, like bring the back of your fingertips to the back of your head, right? That occipital ridge, get a little traction, try to pull it long, and then back. Now you probably want to walk the shoulder blades underneath. And if this isn't comfortable, just now move your arms into like a cactus posture. It's fine. We're trying to hold the head steady though, so don't let the head move. Okay, eyes are going to go as far to the right as you can, looking towards the right. Continue to breathe, feeling the back body connected to the mat. Noticing the rise and fall of the belly. The brain can't tell a complete story here because you're giving it two different stories. Your head is one way, your eyes are the other, and it actually goes, I'm confused, and we want it to be confused. We want it to stop the old story for a moment of the world, because this is not an organized story, right? Okay, now we go back to center, and if you like the world is spinning a little bit, like for me, that's normal. That's normal. Hang in there. Nice deep breath. Stay with the breath. We got to let the reset happen. It actually happened here on the release. Okay, other side. So eyeballs strongly the other way. Again, continuing to breathe. So now we're looking to the left as far as we can. Again, as we push the reset button in the brain, that stress response system is in the deepest part of the brain, the hypothalamic, pituitary, and then of course, adrenal axis, adrenal sitting on the kidneys. But the first two sort of ignition starters for the stress response are in the limbic brain. Guess what's hardwired in there? Our eyes, the vagus nerve. Yeah, our vision, especially our peripheral vision, because things would come at us kind of from the side or at night, scary from behind. And then we start to have stronger hypervigilance to the peripheral. So we're forcing that reset here too. Okay, eyeballs back to center. Letting the arms go now, like probably happy about that, yeah. And then just allowing the arms to be alongside the body anywhere. Let's toe heel our feet mat width apart, so wide on the mat. You can bring the arms, I should say, back out to cactus. Let's just do the sort of, windshield wiper. Also kind of think like a, just a floppy rag, like a dish rag, just swishing side to side, letting the knees go side to side. But I would like us to focus more now on the sacrum feeling right above the tailbone. And if you want, can you allow the head to move the opposite way? And if it can, that's a good sign, right? So the knees go one way, the head gently turns the other. And the arms don't move at all. The shoulders stay nice and relaxed and heavy. So does the rib cage. And we're literally moving around our own center of gravity differently here. And so the spine is kind of moving us, especially the lower part. The legs are just following along. That's why it's helpful to kind of have that heavier feeling across the sacrum as you rock side to side. And then noticing, can we still feel the feet and what they're doing, the change of pressure as we go to one side of our feet and then the other. Staying relaxed through the inner thighs, relaxed through the back of the head. Nice. And then coming back and just finding ease for just a second. Allowing the shoulder blades right and left to feel heavy. And the areas around the sacrum to feel heavy. The breath deep into the belly, finding the psoas line of awareness there, breathing through the breathing tubes, imaginary, deep in the belly, right next to the spine. And as we exhale, can you feel sort of the organs of the torso fall towards the earth, heavy? So that's where interoception is, right? In the belly where the vagus nerve is. Now let's go ahead and add to that by bringing our hands to our belly, maybe walking our feet back to hip distance apart. So hands really wide here. Thumbs towards the rib cage, pinky fingers towards the hip bones. And let's take a nice big lateral breath as you inhale. See if we can breathe. Of course, my favorite animal in the world. Yes, I heard it. Jellyfish. Yeah. Nice big breath wide, because that's where our vagus nerve sort of harkens from, and it's still on our planet. And we still have that jellyfish vagal line right in our belly. That's it right here. But when we are in that, restrictive place, hypervigilant place, we get restricted in our gut, which is why every time if you have stress in your life, you get gut issues, right? You're not going to argue with that. And so here we want to have that feeling of ease, less container-like, deep into the belly. So back to breathing deeply along the psoas lines, deep into the belly, Softening anything. We got to notice. Is there any grasping or gripping deep into our belly, into the sides? Very common. Fantastic. Letting that go. Now we're going to go ahead and hug our right knee into our chest. Again, back to this idea of the hips, and let's take slow, heavy hip circles here. So nice and slow, heavy through the right hip. Really gently here. And again, smooth, that synovial fluid moving through. I always say it's like you're stirring cookie dough batter, and then maybe go the other direction. And then let's pause and let's flex the foot. So we hug that right knee and keep the shoulders relaxed, even though arms are working. Point, flex the foot, maybe roll the foot, the ankle around. 70% of proprioception is actually in our ankles. Another little hack to help that whole system, because the vagus system works through the proprioception vestibular, changes that organization in space and time in the planet. You want to reset it, just these gentle joint movements. Maybe squeeze the toes here. Now we're going to press, keep this right knee hugging and press into the left foot a little bit more. Back to that cat-cow. So we're going to curl the ends of the spine in. Now that may mean you just hug your knee, and if it doesn't feel good, to lift your torso a little bit here. But otherwise we want to feel the spine curling us in here. Really flex the foot, really mean it. Really try to reset this right hip bone into the socket. Now on the inhale, we're going to press the right foot flat. We're going to try to press the mat away with our feet, and we're going to arc our belly up like a big morning stretch. The arms come overhead, but that they reach out of the back body, feeling integrated. It should feel really, really good. That tip to tail kind of opening. Now exhale, we reverse that. Left knee hugs in. Again, back of the neck, back of the head stays relaxed, and left hip slow circles here. Nice, slow, heavy hip circles. And then same thing, we're going to keep that left knee hugging in, flex, point the foot, squeeze the toes, maybe roll that left ankle around gently in a circle. Again, staying relaxed to the back of the head. Now you can stay here and just feel the back of that left hip and feel really heavy to the mat. Option B, curling up if we want to. Again, thinking about the ends of the spine as if they could meet somewhere in space, like a big completed energetic circle. And now remember, this is the fun part. We're going to press the left foot down. We're going to really push the belly up to the ceiling. We're going to press to the feet, arm bones. So we feel that whole back body reconnected in a different way, that back chain, which we all know we need help with. Now let's flow with our breath back to finding a new kind of rhythm from that vagal hack a little bit. Exhale, maybe hugging the right knee and maybe curling up. Option, you can extend the left leg long, right? You can go keep the knees bent if you want. Inhaling, same thing. We want to reach to the heels, reach to the legs, out of the hip bones, arms overhead, stretch to the belly. Feels good this morning. Yeah. Exhaling, left knee hugs in, same idea. Option to curl up, but the neck, the shoulders stay completely relaxed, the face soft. And now we move with our breath, move with your breath. Maybe finding back to that 4-count breath, pausing in the middle, surrendering back to the breath. Now that we've reset, the breath maybe feels different, or maybe we find it easier to connect to the rhythm of the breath. We know we really lose that feeling when we're in a state of stress, just to put it simply, and that could be from lots of things going on in our life. We forget how good it feels to move in this rhythmic manner, and we forget that's our birthright. That's what we're supposed to feel like, right? But we're still living in stress these days. We forgot. We feel like stress is normal. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and bend our knees one more time. I'm coming up into just a gentle bridge flow here. So arms out to the side. And as we do so, we just kind of think about grounding first. So resetting those 4 corners of the back, shoulder blades around the hip bones. Maybe fan the toes, really lift the toes into there, then really intentionally fan the toes broadly into the mat. Big toes, pinky toes. And then we're just going to start. So we're going to start with just pelvic rocking. So let's try to pull our tail, like we're tucking our animal tail, into the body. So sacrum comes into the body, low back gently presses to the mat. And then we're going to rock heavy over the sacrum, press the tail down, gently pull the belly up to the ceiling a little bit. I always say it's like a baby wanting to be picked up. You know, it can't speak, it pushes its belly at you. And then rocking back over the sacrum. Again, maybe lift a little bit higher with the hips here. And just one more time, rocking back over to the tailbone, lengthening through the low belly and the back. And then now it's interesting. Find dead center of the sacrum. Just feel that sense of evenness, heavy, that circular disc-like feeling, but then right in the center. When our sacrum in the back of our head is balanced, let's do the same thing with the back of the head. Reset it, maybe kind of rock the head slowly side to side. Then the natural curves of the spine. This is what ease feels like in the spine. You know, when we get stressed, we pull in. That caterpillar body pulls us in tight. The back of the head does not feel like this, right? It feels collapsed forward or down. All right, now pressing into the feet. Arms can be open or closed to the mat. You can go back to pelvic rocking if that feels better for you today, or slowly that big kind of hovercraft lift here through the hips into a neutral bridge. Feel free to adjust your feet. We want to think about pressing down through the feet, the backs of the legs pressing up. Adjust, walk the shoulders underneath, clear the neck, make sure the neck stays curved away from the mat. We know that's important. We want to feel the sandwiching of the femur bones, right? The back of the femur or back of the thighs pressing up, at the tops pressing down, that pressure to the femur bones. Big breath through the front body. But can you breathe like a jellyfish here? Because that's important. Yeah, a grippy belly, not so important, right? That is not so good. Our vagus system, that means we're in that state of stress. Calm strength. The legs super active, super strong. Hip bones hugging together. But breath is easy and free. Expanded through the side seams of our shirt. And then, of course, we're only doing this for this part, right? We're like, come on, get to it. We know it's coming. Slowly lowering down, laying our spine down, like we're kind of rolling out a piece of tape or a ribbon onto the mat. How good that feels. Just pause, enjoying that heavy sensation through the hips again, that connection of ease and grounding through the back body, and a smoother feeling through the front body energetically. So we're moving more from this greater awareness of our energetic body. You know, when you're tight in your belly, you're tight in your hips and your shoulders and your neck, those are all signs. We start to pay attention to that. And then now let's again move with the breath here. Inhaling, maybe a 4 count. Inhale into our bridge. Remember, you could do pelvic rocking if that feels better. Maybe pausing here, thinking about the center of our chest, lifting a little bit higher, feels good. And then when we're ready, that slow, controlled release on the exhale. Again, finding the sides on either side of the spine, gently laying down. Again, at your pace, just a couple of more times, moving again with the breath. After that last one, again, no rush at all. We're actually going to do something really different here. We're going to go right onto our belly. So you may want to hug your knees into your chest, maybe rock a little bit, curl the hips into the air. It feels good, just kind of releasing through the back body. And then coming on to our belly. So again, checking the time here one more time. I kind of lose track of time here. So perfect time. So we're just going to end actually on our belly today, which is great because we know the vagus nerve, right? Big 10th cranial nerve. Vagus means vagabond. It innervates everything in our torso. It takes up 1,000 miles. It is the basic sense of self. Our sense of self comes from our gut, and that gets completely disrupted in stress, right? All of that energy gets shunted out to our limbs of sympathetic, arms and legs from the belly. So we're coming back to belly pressing pose here. And it's either forehead to the hands or cheek, whatever feels good. Feeling the thighs nice and heavy. But let's take a big breath into the belly and really intentionally trying to push our belly into the mat, even up into the upper belly. So really push, push, push on the inhale. And then the exhale, that same thing. Now the back body is feeling heavy towards the earth, really nice and relaxed, easy feeling here, heavy through the hips and the thighs. And again, big breath into the belly, really pushing it into the mat. Slow, controlled release all the way out, belly heavy, relaxed. And this is immediately, and just go back to normal breathing now, but this is an immediately sense of a greater sense through our physiology of safety. Just like, we were like those, weighted blankets now, that heavy feeling, we'll see our whole torso, our rib cage, our vital organs feel very protected here. It's easier to relax. This is why this is an option in all my classes, because a lot of people actually can only rest in this posture. Feeling vulnerable, opening our torso, our vital organs just open to the sky feels pretty scary, right? So this is something to remember in our classes to offer to people. And we're just going to do one final thing here. just a different movement before we come to our final rest. And you'll have choices, of course. So hands on either side of the mat, and wide. And you can be on your fingertips. You may want to play with that, which is kind of cool for something different, or hands flat. Just, it's up to you, whatever feels good. Well, let's just take this right shoulder and find gentle circles. Again, we go back to trying to think about our arms and legs very differently here. So slow, nice and slow. And then just gently press into the fingertips, draw that right shoulder blade back, and just, twist, or just see how far we can lift a little bit here. And then we're just going to slowly let the forehead rest back to the mat. And then same thing, draw that right shoulder blade down, right? Slowly opening up to the side. And then exhale, nice and relaxed at ease, soften through the neck, maybe kind of turn the head a little bit here, make sure we're not holding tension. And then one more time. And again, coming back through neutral, pause, reset, belly heavy, legs heavy, relaxed and grounded. And then we just go to the left. Left shoulder comes back, or actually I should say just gentle movements through this left shoulder. Doesn't have to be big, but just see if you can really see if you can let the movement come from behind the heart. And then lightly fingertips maybe to the mat, to the floor. Again, on this side, it's going to be different. That left shoulder blade really comes strongly back in. We just see how far we turn naturally here, just to the left. And again, back through center. So we should be able to move our arms separate from one another. That's the thing here. That coupled response, that fight flight, the shoulders pull in very tightly, which is effective for fight, flight, and freeze. It's adaptive, but it's not so good to find novel movement patterns. We need to uncouple that response, which is why we're doing it one arm at a time here. Beautiful. And then release. Now, forehead, we can restack our hands, or I should say palms, and forehead to our hands. Maybe allow our feet to lift into the air here. Roll the ankles around both directions, nice and slow. And then heavy feeling through the legs. So back to that sort of dish rag swishing side to side. Allowing the femur bones, again, the thighs to feel super heavy. But then I'm going to ask you to shift. Can you really find that subtle feeling, almost like a rudder-like movement through the lower half of the spine, through the sacrum? So then now the spine, like a fish swimming through water. Instead of the legs moving us, our spine is moving us, and that's how it's supposed to be. Things are all right in the world if that's happening. If the legs are driving our movement, that's a stress response. It is. The legs go along for the ride here in an easier manner. You can feel the difference. Okay, final thing, our forearms are going to come up in our little Sphinx pose. So elbows out in front a little bit. Remember that cat-cow we did before? Let's just do that here. It just feels super good. So we're going to exhale, push the mat away, hands really wide, and just try to pull in like you're looking at your belly button, but you're really rounding through the upper back, and it's a coiling in action. Think of a snail kind of trying to coil in. Now we're doing this to find the opposite, which is now we're going to lift the belly rest to the mat gently, like that same thing of a ribbon unfolding, but the front part of our spine like a ribbon now, and then the chest naturally open. And let's just do that again. Press evenly to the forearms, to the hands. Again, that rounding through the thoracic spine, gently pulling the low belly in a little bit, and then unwinding, inhaling. Now try to pull the mat back a little bit more like Sphinx pose, and pause here. Again, notice the neck. Can it turn? Are our shoulders hunched? If so, let's just back off from that a little bit or drop the shoulder blades down the back. Now, finding more neutral with the head, let's just sway and just let the head just kind of drop and collapse a little bit. So remember that rudder-like feeling we found before through the lower half? Well, can we find it now through the upper half? S-like feeling, smooth, snake-like feeling through the upper half of the spine. And then the arms, notice they're just moving kind of like in a weird figure 8 pattern, maybe like an infinity pattern. That's cool. That's a good sign. You got one direction, the fun thing, try to go the other. That's a little more challenging. Awesome. And then final, anything you want. You can go back to like the feet in the air, rocking side to side. You could, you can come into child's pose for a moment if you need to, just to rest the back. You can come onto your back here. You can come on back onto your belly or even the side body. And I'm going to come seated. So at home, feel free, stay in your Shavasana just for a moment. So finding your Shavasana, finding your pose of ease, renewal. And every day, these practices, I think in the world that we live in, if you think waiting for the world to provide images of ease, well, we're going to be waiting for a while. We have to bring that ease into the world. And so this comes back home to doing our work as yoga students, yoga teachers. We have a powerful, I think, important role to play in the world as it reorganizes. We have to bring forth this new nervous system, this new story of calm strength, yes, of peace. It starts here within me. I can't see peace in the world if I haven't seen it in myself. It doesn't mean that I avoid acknowledging what's happening in the world. It means I'm now more effective at the fight. I'm more effective to be a warrior in the world, Arjuna, to do what needs to be done, but not from reaction, but from intentional action. Let's swallow, relax our throat, our jaws, soften through the base of the throat and the tongue. Let's allow the breath to be natural and easy, just noticing the areas around our nostrils, softening our cheekbones, softening completely around the orbital eye sockets, bottom, sides, and top. Allowing the eyeballs to fall back to the back of the head. Eyeballs actually protrude out farther. We can measure the pressure in the eyes when we're stressed, letting that go. Allowing that sense of space to come between our temples. Deepening the inner ear canal feeling, deepening that area out. Back of the head unwrinkles, back of the neck. And just feeling our body breathing us more naturally. Calm, strength, peace, breathe through me now. And then now let's just take a nice big breath. And at home, of course, you're free to stay in Shavasana. Just stop the recording. Nice big breath. Breathing awareness back into the body, maybe gently wiggling fingers, toes gently around. Coming on to our side body for a moment in our fetal C posture. And pausing, allowing the side body's energy to be grounded. Head heavy. Feeling the side of the spine that's closest to the earth. Melt, yield. Again, that container-like feeling dawn in the belly. And then we're going to press up to an easy seated posture with our head heavy until seated, just taking our time. Option to end by bringing our hands together at heart center, allowing our head to turn towards our heart. The new story is in our heart. It's in our belly. It's down there. We know when we're at ease in the belly, the heart's in a place of connection with our fellow humans, then we're probably on the right story trail. We've kept the thread that has held this world together. Don't lose the thread. The thread is connection and love. Thank you for helping me to find that story here in this room and at home in your room. Namaste.